One of the things that I feel like people will either focus on one or the other, but communication and sales really, the skills that you have on both sides are everything. What are some of the skills in communication that you think are just super important, or some tips that you can give to some of our people?
You know, if I were to give a history of listing properties, we would go out and we'd meet the seller, or we knew the seller. We would go out and maybe spend some time in their home, and we'd walk through the home, and then we'd come back and we'd be able to show all of our system services and programs. Today's consumer, they'll allow us to do that to a degree, and if we can visit and learn about the product, that's great. But our communication skills have to be so highly honed.
Right.
Because the consumer is saying things, and if we're not listening clearly, we're missing it. Because time is of an essence. We're in a, for the most part, a zero equity market. And what I mean by that is most consumers we're listing properties for are selling the home at the price they paid or less than the price they paid, so they're not feeling wealthy in their house.
Right.
And so we have to listen to some of those needs. This is really the first real estate marketplace where the non-equity market has been in an elongated period of time.
Right.
And it's due to short sales and foreclosures and the amount of them that all of a sudden came on the market. So Denver was fortunate that we didn't have a huge run-up of appreciation in the early part of the decade. So our non-equity homes really are fewer and far between, but still it's 25% of the market. So when you're talking to sellers and you're listing, the communication skills you have today, dramatically different. The tools of communicating. If you're not using all the tools, if you're not using social media to market, if you're not necessarily texting, if you don't understand Twitter, if you don't have these right communication vehicles and tools at the time of listing, you're probably not going to get the listing, and you're probably not going to get it positioned properly. Many sellers today want to receive information differently. They may prefer email, they may prefer text, they may prefer a phone call. But we've gotten passive in our listing of properties, where we get stuck as real estate brokers into communicating via email. And that may not necessarily be the vehicle that will get us the most business.
Well, and I see it a lot. If somebody calls you, the etiquette isn't to email them back. The etiquette is to call them back. So however they communicate with you, make sure you communicate back. And I think that that's missed a lot because people get busy or whatever the case might be. So I think that you just hit on a perfect point of really paying attention to what their needs are, and kind of sometimes they don't even say what their needs are. You almost have to pay attention to maybe some of their silent communication.
All the tools, be it texting or email, are information-based delivery. If you're trying to make a deposit in their emotional bank account, you got to call them.
Right.
You got to touch them.
Right. Right.
And somehow, some way, real estate brokers have lost that skill.
Well, and when those things came about, it almost was like, oh goody, I don't have to pick up the phone anymore.
That's right.
Which
That's exactly right.
You get the edge every time you call. And the next best thing is getting in front of them face to face, right?
Yeah, I would say, and Larry will probably talk in his program, but 25% of all your referral business is going to come from people that are already in your pipeline.
Yep.
And so if you're not talking with them all the time, more than likely you're missing leads.
Yep, someone else is talking to them.
Yeah, that's right.